My name is Henry Grosjean, and I am not part of the Veterans Administration, nor am I part of any other government office. Bottom line, I am an advocate for veterans and their surviving spouses. Before we begin, and I know you don't hear this enough, I would like to thank all of the veterans, their spouses, and surviving spouses of veterans for their service and sacrifice to our country. This presentation will be a brief overview of the VA's Veteran Pension with Aid and Attendance Benefit, where it is not contingent upon service-related injuries for compensation. It is interesting to note, however, that this benefit has been in existence since 1860, when it was introduced by Abraham Lincoln following the American Civil War. So this benefit has been entrenched in American history, yet few know about it. In fact, reportedly only 3% of the eligible veterans have been able to attain this elusive benefit to help pay for long-term care. The secret benefits that you can receive to assist with paying for the ever-increasing cost of long-term care for 2020 are up to $19.12 per month for a single veteran, up to $2,266 per month for a married veteran where the veteran needs assistance, and if the veteran's spouse is the one needing assistance, the benefit could be up to $17.30 per month, and up to $12.30 per month for a surviving spouse of a veteran. And these benefits are all tax-free. There are 5 basic requirements for eligibility: 90 days of active service and 1 day during wartime, and the day of wartime service could have been spent stateside. You are over the age of 65 or permanently disabled, you had an honorable discharge, and you need assistance from another individual for at least 2 activities of daily living. And there is a new net worth limit. So what is classified as wartime service? Well, you got World War II, the Korean conflict, Vietnam, and the Gulf conflict. Now, the numbers on the right-hand side represent those veterans who served during these dates that currently reside in Arizona. The activities of daily living are a critical part to qualifying, as this is a needs-based system. And as I've already mentioned, you need to have assistance for at least 2 activities of daily living. The primary ones are bathing, dressing, using the toilet, eating, and transferring, such as from the bed to the bathroom. Now there are 5 others that are equally relevant. They are personal hygiene, prosthetic adjustments, fall prevention, providing a protected environment for the claimant, as well as preventing them from harming others as well. There are now 3 major considerations taken by the VA towards qualification. The first one is unreimbursed medical expenses. Unreimbursed medical expenses have been redefined by the VA with much broader terminology. The second qualification is your net worth. This is defined as your total income plus your assets. Assets are defined as the fair market value of all personal property. The primary residence and 1 vehicle are still exempt assets. So your net worth may fluctuate depending upon your income and available assets, and your net worth can be reduced by your unreimbursed medical expenses. There is now a maximum net worth limit of just over $129,000 as of January 1st, 2020. This net worth limit will determine whether one is eligible for the pension, and if your income will determine how much you will receive. But keep in perspective that medical expenses will not only reduce your income, but they will also reduce your net worth. The final consideration involves any asset transfers in the last 3 years involving gifts, establishing irrevocable trust, and certain restricted annuities such as those used in Medicaid planning. The time frame for this started October 18th of 2018, so technically it's 3 years going forward. The sanctionable event for such transfers could be up to 5 years. Now let's talk about unreimbursed medical expenses. These are crucial to reducing net worth under the new rule changes, and the terminology is now open to interpretation, which will in turn result in more veterans and surviving spouses to qualify. Unreimbursed medical expenses are now defined as reasonably predictable medical expenses and services that are medically necessary. I think you will agree that these are very, very subjective and will contribute to more and more claimants being rightfully eligible for the VA pension. But these new definitions don't stop there. Unreimbursed medical expenses are going to include custodial care. This classification of care may result in more qualifying for those who rely on assistance at their home or even under certain circumstances in an independent living community. Also covered, service animals, which will include veterinary services, smoking cessation treatment, and daycare facilities which are utilized by many caregivers so that they can get some respite care. All of these mentioned expenses, which are just a snapshot, will in turn reduce one's income and as a result, their net worth. Now, surviving spouses of veterans have their own set of circumstances. They must have been married to the veteran for at least a year. They must have been married to the veteran at the time of his or her death. The surviving spouse must have remained unmarried, and the surviving spouse and the veteran must have lived together continuously until the veteran's death. Some of my background: I have been a resident of Arizona for 40 years. I am part of the charter class of Prescott College. I was a registered non-paid lobbyist at the state capitol for 10 years, where I was able to get 2 bills passed and signed into law. And I have written a number of consumer-oriented articles for the following publications: the Arizona Capital Times, the Business Journal, and even the Arizona Repulsive. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact me every day of the week, including Saturdays and Sundays. I am available for a personal meeting at your location, including weekends. And if you now realize that your net worth exceeds the new VA net worth limit, I invite you to visit the second video that deals with some tax advantage ways to pay for long-term care, which were created by the Pension Protection Act that went into effect January 1st, 2010.